Hello, it is I, Palest Drew, here to bring you another scintillating live stream, as promised, on Wednesday. How is everyone? There is no one. I'm going to wait until there's anybody in the live stream. Otherwise, this is just a pre-recorded stream that someone else can watch later. How will I fill the time? I don't know. Nobody yet. It's going to happen. There's going to be people. They always show up. I think I'm live. Yes, I'm live. It looks like I'm live. And someday, there will be people. Do some light dusting while I wait. Some of the old dusting. You know how that goes. Maybe some desk organizing. You never know. Casey Henderson informs me that I am indeed live. Hello, Casey Henderson. How are we doing today? As we're gearing up for this live stream, I can discuss something. I don't know. Predacon is in. I think now we can officially begin. Now that Predacon Waspinator has arrived. I wanted to discuss something that came up recently when I disparaged the Studio Series Constructicons. As you recall, I was quite happy that I had gone to TFCon and found myself something to shoot. And I was like, this saved me from doing those boring Studio Series Deluxe Constructicons. And I'm afraid I attracted the ire of a few people that were like, wait a minute, I think the Studio Series Constructicons are superb and lovely and don't deserve your cruel remarks, and I am sorry. But I wanted to delve into the topic of complexity. I have here before you what are called gravity bots, and they're about the least complex thing I could think of, other than the Matchbox cars with the robots on the bottom, and you can just stand them up. But let me demonstrate. Look, it's a transformer now. Let's do another one. Here's Optimus Prime. Now there's Optimus Prime. How about we do Barricade? There's Barricade. And we have Starscream. Now, to your point, these, like the Studio Series Constructicons, are fun. And they're neat. And they're collectible. Look at them all. I think I got all the gravity bots. There might have been one I missed. Maybe I should look it up one day. And then at the other end of the scale, just because he's handy, you got your Optimus Prime. Hold on a second. He's a little too tall to fit in the frame. We'll just have to take full advantage of his ability to pose. What's up? Optimus Prime and the hizzy. Just gonna... Yo. Optimus Prime, what's up? Anyway... Optimus Prime is complex. And I like doing videos of complex things. And you'll probably never find me, except maybe as an April Fool's prank, doing a video of one of these. Although it would be hard to stop motion this, because it doesn't have, like, in-betweens. I'd have to, like, prop it up somehow. I don't know. It would be funny, though. Do the whole... And then just... I thought about just doing it as a video, too. Just, like, rotate the whole thing and have my hand reach in and just... April Fools. But it's not an interesting video. And somewhere in between, let's do Optimus Prime and Optimus Prime. Somewhere in between that and that is the Studio Series Constructicons. Now, I don't know if you want to argue that they're closer to this end. I would say they're not. Or they're close to this end. I'd put them exactly in the middle. Right in the middle is the Studio Series Constructicon Deluxes. And they're just not terribly complicated, and that's the only commentary I was making when I said they were boring. Not boring universally, but boring to me in terms of making a video. Nobody's going to watch that video, unlike maybe the Prime video. Maybe there was some people that were like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good way, that's a good order to do it in. That's better than the instructions. That's what I want. But nobody's going to look at the Studio Series Deluxe Constructicon video and go, oh, that's how it's done. I never knew. Because they're just not all that complicated. I will get to them because I want to do the Constructicons. But they're just not that complicated. So, not complicated, and then super complicated. And then somewhere in the middle, Studio Series Constructicons. In fact, a lot of Studio Series is a little closer to this end of the scale. But the Constructicons in particular, because they have to kind of be body parts for the big combine mode, are on the simpler side. Even the Voyagers so far have been simpler than even the other Voyager Studio Series figures. So let's catch up on commentary. Wallace Toys review has to choose between watching this and going to bed. Well, I can't say that you made the right decision. That's because I'm just self-deprecating. Predacon Waspinator missed the last one because he was tired. See? He didn't make the wrong choice. He likes the gravity bots. Shark is late. Wallace says, my favorite idiot-proof Transformers, always using them when showing people even a layman adult can handle transforming toys. Yeah, you would have to be pretty dim to not get gravity bots. But what if I try to so. Yeah, and this I wasn't trying to say they weren't fun or they weren't worth acquiring, especially for their combined mode. I was just saying I wanted something a little more complicated and larger scale with a nicer finish than the Studio Series Constructicons. But I wasn't trying to leave them in the cold. And then I spotted this in my cabinet and I really want to transform it back. And so this you might recognize is what I use for my avatar. This is Perfect Effects Leonidas. It is also not complicated. It's beautiful. But I've always put off bothering to transform it because first of all, the way the parts of the head fit together is just madness. Like there's no definite way, so I just have to kind of fudge it. And so I have issues with the transformation of this figure. Plus it would be really hard to get it to hold its position. But he's handsome, no? Handsome. Shark has 3 Studio Series figures. I bet you can't name them. Bet you can't name all 3 of them. He's going to name them now. Give him 30 seconds. Alright, so I'm going to play with this while we discuss and think. It's a bit of a parts former. You could leave this on if you were into self-abuse. We'll just bring the legs back. And they do go kind of digitigrade like they should. I hate when they just bend the knees backwards for Lion bots. Like the original Beast Wars Lion Optimus is kind of dumb. It's kind of cool sliding mechanism. The design, the aesthetic on these, and this one I'll just address in particular, but it's such a crazy aesthetic because, I mean, it's a Transformer, so it's got a Transformers aesthetic, but it's also kind of got like a, I don't know, like a gunplay sort of aesthetic. But it also, and this is extremely intentional, it's totally got this crazy Zoids aesthetic. It's got Zoid caps, like, all over. So they were like, let's make it look like a Zoid. It's okay. That's not crazy or anything. That's fine. I have to put him lower. He's too tall. Alright. So let's see. We're gonna try to disassemble this bit. It's always such a pain in the ass putting this guy in. Like, there's tabs here that you really have to, like, get in behind this to support it so that you can plug in the tab. But there's these tabs that kind of hold the head on. Sort of. But there's the front part of the head and the back part of the head. And each one of them is meant to go to a different shoulder. There. There's that. And then this crazy ball joint. But it's like a double ball joint, and I'm never quite sure where it's supposed to end up, but there it is. I wish someone would come up with a lion bot where they get rid of the front feet properly. Even the new upcoming Takara Masterpiece 45, 46, 47, 48? This guy, 48, is, you know, just has like the bits of the lion front legs just kind of hanging off the backs of the arms. So I don't know. I guess nobody's cracked that code yet. They haven't figured out how to do it. To just get rid of the lion parts. This comes pretty close because all you got is feet. See that MP48? There's like the whole foreleg is back there. So they didn't do too bad with this guy getting rid of the lion parts. He's super posable too. I mean, he's a fun figure. See, this is like one of those, like, where is this supposed to be? Madness. I think I've been in the habit of turning it around like that. But then it plugs in here, maybe? There we go. And then this head can go here. And let's just close his mouth because he's not in lion mode right now, mister. All right. It'd be kind of fun to stop motion because you could have like the hair kind of ripple in the breeze or something, but I'm not that great at animation animator. Maybe I should practice at it, but I only have so much time to dedicate to this. All right, and then this actually goes this way. It's nice when they actually give you a tab so you can tell when you're wrong. And there's the ass end. There's the front end. Something's supposed to happen with the torso, but I don't remember what. He's actually got a little matrix of leadership in here. Let me see if I can figure out how to get it open. This lowers down? Okay, yeah, down. Oh my god, why? See? Little matrix of leadership. Pretty fancy. I like what Perfect Effect does. Thanks to Chosen Prime, I had the chance to do the big dragon. But I don't know. It's not quite my aesthetic. I kind of fell in love with this guy, so I got him. But if I had to do it again, I might not. Hopefully he doesn't just fall off the desk, because that'll be sad. We'll just pull this back a little bit. Get the whole thing in, maybe. Sort of. I'll stop touching the camera. I'm sorry. And then, you know, he comes with swords, which is cool. And even better, this sword is die cast. Here, let's see. And then for some reason the dogs heard that. Good lord. But it's a die cast sword. It's die cast all the way through the handle. It's just painted. Painted die cast. And I don't know if the lights just simply can't pick this up. The camera, the stupid useless camera. But it's sparkly. It's got like a red sparkle paint kind of cool. The tail is stowed up under this kind of butt shield. And this actually is like a flail, you know? And it's almost stiff enough to pose, like stop motion style. But it's a little bit floppy. And then he came with a few other accessories since we're discussing them. He came with like this bow caster sort of thing. For some reason it's got little pegs. I don't know why. But it's kind of a bow caster. Fun. Super fun. He came with a big display base that I didn't bring up, but this is like a stand. It plugs into the base. And then he comes with like these guns. The guns can be mounted on this. So in lion mode, you can have guns. Because that's what you need. You need guns in lion mode. And there's a second gun I'm not going to bother with. And then there's like sunglasses. There's like a visor that you can put on the lion head. Like there. You can't see it. It's out of frame. I'm like a reviewer now. So, there's the lion head. Oof. Oof. Catch up on comments. I'm going to lay this guy down so he doesn't fall over. Watch YouTube will pick that as the thumbnail. YouTube will be like, how about that for a thumbnail? Thanks, YouTube. Predacon Waspinator absolutely can't wait for the MP Leo convoy. Yeah, I mean, they really captured it. It's got all the derp. It's got all the derpiness of the original cartoon. That's neat. Yeah, I'm going to get it. 'Cause it has Takara on the box, and I can't help myself. I'm always interested in what Takara's up to when it comes to... Is the RPMs, are these like the Matchbox cars? Remember the old Revenge of the Fallen Leader Class Optimus Prime? Yeah, that's the good one. Because the original Transformer movie, Optimus Prime, was kind of bad. And the Revenge of the Fallen one was a notable improvement. In fact, everyone's kind of been copying that transformation design, including Takara themselves when they did MPM 4. They did that whole thing where the front of the truck kind of ends up being the legs. Very good. Do I have Fans Toys Hoodlum? That's the Hot Rod. I do not have Fans Toys Hoodlum. I tend to shy away from Fans Toys because I've had the advantage of having handled some of the Fans Toys figures, and I've never liked them. I'm sure they're very pretty. I always say that when I get to the end of the video and I want to say something nice about a Fans Toys figure, I say, "Oh, it's got really nice paint. Such lovely paint. What a great paint job it has." But they're like hideous in between. You know, it's like you got RC. Was it Rouge? Rogue? Rouge, I think. Rouge is like in car mode, she's a nice little car, and in robot mode, she's a decent little robot. And in between, she looks like everyone's junk drawer in their house. It's just a pile of parts, just held together by little. They should just use string. They should stop messing with the little metal linkages and just use pieces of string and be like, it's not a parts former. We put these pieces of string on. Never been impressed with Fans Toys engineering. It's very, very dumb. All right. Wallace is defending the first movie Prime, and once again we get back into whether a toy is fun, and it was fun, but the proportions were terrible. I mean, even the truck proportions are pretty terrible. But it was like the first one, and I'm an idiot. I bought the one, and then later on they came out like in the season, the movie came out in spring, and then in fall they came out with like the what do they call it? The premiere editions, the really fancily the better painted versions of Optimus Prime and Megatron, and I'm a dummy, so I bought those too. Yeah, don't Transforms Fan Toys figures. That's the takeaway. Like, Fans Toys are great for putting on a shelf, and if you'll notice, I don't have a channel dedicated to statues, and so Fans Toys doesn't intrigue me. I mean, they're plenty complicated, and I suppose if I do a video like I did with Road King, then it kind of answers some questions that people might have, or, you know, help. The instructions are, you know, as bad as any other instructions. So I suppose it can be helpful to do a video on Fans Toys. I thought about picking up Jabber just to do a video on them, but I'd just immediately sell them if I did, because I mean, Jabber looks like a mess. Oof. I wouldn't enjoy transform. The thing I like about Takara, for example, is just about every step of the way in the transformation, it can hold that shape. Every step of the way it can do that. Whereas Fans Toys, they got those little floppy linkages, and you get these in-betweens where I gotta like try to prop up a part or hold it in midair, you know, because it's not gonna hold itself. And a lot of times you have to just transform it laying down on the platter because it can't stand up half transformed. Half transformed, you gotta lay it down because it's, you know, bits and pieces. And it's not segmented and sequential. Like this Optimus Prime, you can kind of do the legs, and then you can do the torso. A lot of figures I like are like that. Even that really complicated DX9 Lahir, you have to kind of take the front apart, but then you can kind of focus on the legs, and then you can focus on the torso, you know. But Fans Toys, it's like, you know, take the top half partly apart, and then you can do the bottom half for a little bit until the top half is in the way again, and then you got to do the top half again a little bit. It's just, they're no fun. I think the Fans Toys figure that came closest, other than a terrible clearance issue, was their version of Cup. Came closest to being just a rational sort of thing. Maybe it was a different designer that day. Maybe the regular guy was sick, or, you know, with an illness as opposed to just being insane. Good a time as any. I told these guys I'd help them out a little bit, but one of my favorite stores to shop from China is Shouzi Store. And I'll just mention again that they're doing a November 11th sale. If you're just a regular Joe from out in the world, then you'll get points worth 2% off if you spend more than $100. You'll get 3% off if you spend more than $200. You'll get 4% off if you spend more than $300. And you'll get 5% off if you spend more than $500. And then premium members in general get 3% off. Oh god, I'm going to say the wrong thing. I think it's 3 normally. Yeah. They'll get 3% off, but during the sale, premium members will get 7% off, which is pretty good. Although it's like cash back, so you got to spend the money and then you have points in the pot for like your next purchase. But it's a pretty good deal. Business parts out of the way. But I like those guys. The only problem is waiting for stuff to come through customs. But other than that, they ship right away. They have a good selection, good prices, and you know, it's like an extra week waiting for it to get through stupid customs. I got something now that I could shoot this weekend if it would just leave JFK Airport or JFK the port. But it's not going to leave for a while, I guess. Stupid customs. Yeah, okay. Well, Wallace, I say go for it. Do a little retro. Here's the first movie Optimus Prime they came out with, and you could discuss the pros and cons. The cons are obviously that it's not exactly movie accurate, but it's a fun figure. It does some fun stuff. Yeah, you guys got to write longer comments so I know what the context is. Shark says, but Unique Toys does pretty much the same thing except much nicer. I don't know. The same thing as what? The two figures that I think are perfect that I own in complexity, fun, and look are Siege Prime and Hunt for the Decepticon Starscream. Okay, yeah, I did a video back in the day of Hunt for the Decepticon Starscream. That's a good figure. It's a little thick. You know, like when you look at the plane from the side, it's like a little too thick. But it's not as bad as some Hasbro planes where, you know, it's pretty much just a robot slung up under the plane. It's always a little ridiculous. Of course, the best planes you can get, in my opinion, are like the Yamato Macross Valkyries. I've got a bunch of those. I should really shoot them one of these days because I know my channel started off with me explaining how to transform those. If you look back in the oldest videos. And I'm sure I probably still have some Macross fans out there that would like to see those transform. But they're a little bit like Flan's toys. They're fiddly and they have a lot of loose transformation joints, and you pretty much have to transform it laying down, which is kind of a bummer. Yeah. So I think Music Hall is agreeing on Fans Toys. He says they're not elegant. They focus on making gorgeous robot and vehicle modes and being super accurate. The transformations, though, seem to not remotely consider the concept of fun. So true. So true. I got too few minutes in my life to go out of my way to spend them on Fans Toys figures. Movie Me Now says, "What's up? I'm here for a little bit. Hello, Moody Me." Shark says the transformation. Yeah, well, I mean, Unique Toys has been really killing it lately with their transformations, and the same designers did here. So you kind of think you can think of Unique Toys and DX9 being in the same bucket, but they've got some good design teams in that company/companies. I've liked DX9 for quite a while, and Unique Toys I've liked. I have their Octane, the triple changer. I saw it. I saw like a demonstration of it, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta have that." One of the first videos I did. Yeah, but Unique Toys is DX9. Unique Toys are just fantastic. Excellent, excellent design team. I mean, if anything, they kind of surpass Takara in a way because they come up, especially like Peru Kill is just like a master class in turning it inside out, getting it done, and not having it be too insanely complicated. And there's no backpack. Whereas Takara is like, oh, we got this extra mass we have to get rid of. Let's put it in a backpack. They really like their backpacks. Yeah, everyone would like to see the Valkyries, Moody, but the problem is they're just like Fans Toys. I'd have to transform them laying down, which I'll get to them. I swear to God, one of these days we'll be dry. I'll run out of Studio Series or anything topical or anything masterpiece related, and I'll dig one out and I'll do it. But it'll be quite a labor because they're fiddly and they don't move very good. Yeah, I have most of my Macrosses. I have the 148 VF1, and then all the other ones I have are 1/60th. I think, yes. But I have a VF21, VF, what is it, 17 Nightmare, that's a cool figure. I never did that for my channel back in the day. I didn't have it back then. And then I also have that ridiculous Russian one that I did a video of back in the day. That would be hideous to try to stop motion. If I do anything, I'll probably start with the VF17 Nightmare or YF17 or whatever the hell it is. That's a cool design. Yeah. I really, Shark says, I wonder what Wizard Unique Toys hired. I wonder about that a lot. Like, I think it would be fascinating to, like, follow the designers. One of the best examples I can provide for that is back in the day, Fans Project. Is that what's it called? Fans Project? Fans Toys? No, Fans Project. Fans Project did their motor or their Stunticon set. It's a great set. I have it, but it would be a little intensive to do the whole thing as a stop motion. Maybe one day when I'm bored. But the hands for that set were like a particular way. Like they had a particular design to them. The balls and the knuckles, like the design. And then when Devastator came out for Make Toys, the hands were exactly the same hand, just a different color, So the purple hands for the Stunticons, but then they came out with Devastator, and he's got these black hands, but it's exactly the same mold. And then, to drive the point home, you get to Make Toys Technobots. It's the same hand again. And even when you do Defensor, the hand kind of transforms, like it folds up a little bit. But by the time you turn it into a hand, it's like the same hand again. Which tells me that whatever design team did the Stunticons for Fans Project went on to do the other 3 projects for Make Toys. So there's a lot of cross-pollination, and I can only imagine that the designers kind of move around, the successful ones at least. The other ones probably, get into some other job, or they get a more lucrative job doing just regular engineering work or something. But I'd be really interested to know more about those designers, but you get the impression for the most part they're private people and they don't want the notoriety, or maybe their contract says that they're not allowed to seek any notoriety for their work. Yeah, Wallace, the VF-19, huh? That's your holy grail. Yeah, I was really into the Macross toys for a while, and I imagine that's kind of the era before Transformers Masterpiece started becoming more common, and at which point I was like, oh! But I always liked complicated transforming figures, and when I found out about Yamato, I mean, you get your feet wet because you do the old 148 VF1. I really wish I'd gotten the Roy Fokker one with the double head guns, so it'd be more like Jetfire. I saw someone took one of those and like repainted it and what do you call it? Customized it into a Jetfire. It's like, oh, like a perfect MP Jetfire. But so I got started with 148 because I was familiar with that plane, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then at that point I was kind of hooked on Yamato, so every time they came out with a new design, I got it. So I have a bunch of their like 172. I have a bunch of their 172 jets. So I have like the VF-19 and the VF-21 or 22 in a 172 scale. I sold the VF-21 though. So I still have the 19. I have the 160th 19. So I have a few of them. Maybe when I do a tour of my man cave, I'll point them out. Well, I mean, easily point them out whenever I do that. I just keep getting self-conscious because my man cave's a bit of a mess. So I don't know that I want to do a tour of it when it's a mess, but then I never find the time to clean it up. So don't count on that happening soon. Do you have Studio Series Hightower? Yeah, the neck pops loose on Hightower. It does. But that's really more, that's not so much the neck joint as it's like it's like the middle of that double segment. But that's the finger joint for the combined mode. Yeah, MMC is my, like, for filling out the G1 Transformers, I've been going to Ocular Max because they make the best ones. I mean, I like Bad Cube because they're so weirdly complicated, but when it came down to getting a Trailblazer, I decided to get the MMC Ocular Max one and not the Bad Cube one. And since then, I thought about maybe I should get the Bad Cube. What's his name? The one that's just like Trailblazer, but is it Trailblazer? That doesn't sound right. Trailbreaker. It's the one that's like Trailbreaker, but it's a tow truck. Whatever his name is. I was like, maybe I should get the Bad Cube one of that But I don't know how it would scale, and I'm not too worried about it. MMC is pretty great too. Do you have the Fans Toys Quietus? I think it's really good, complex, and the transformation isn't that painful. I've seen Quietus. I didn't really have... It was in my budget. You know, like, I'm not going to go out of my way to own a Fans Toys figure. I figure one of these days someone's going to come up with a Cyclonus that's clever. You know, I keep waiting for a Unique Toys version of that. But they seem to be stuck on the movie line right now. Yeah, the 1/60th VF1 was an improvement on the 148 in a lot of ways. But I don't have the 1/60th VF1. I just have the big... What's funny is the VF1 was such a smaller plane than the other planes. So in the display case, like, my VF1 is the same height as... The 148th VF1 is the same height as, like, the 1/60th VF19. Because apparently the plane's changed. Moody Me Now is out of here. See you later, buddy. Chars asks, how long does it normally take to make one of your videos, and what program do you use? Okay, so I use Dragon Frame to capture the frames. That usually takes me anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, depending on the complexity of the figure. And then I use Adobe Premiere Pro to actually, like, stitch them together and edit the delays in the sequence of the frames. And that takes me 2 to 3 hours. So anywhere from like 4 for a really simple figure to like 6 or 7 hours for something more complicated. And if it's Fans Toys, then there's a bunch of like props that hold the thing up that I have to edit out, which takes longer. When is X-Transbots releasing their Motor Master? I don't have a crystal ball on that one, and I'm not following that line. I mean, I'm sure they're fine, but I can't get everything. Even if I could get everything, I only have like 1 day a week that I do my shoots. So I could only do like 52 things a year. Probably better to stay topical and do some studio series here and there than try to get everything. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing how Bandai would redo VF11. I have a VF11. I have the 1/672nd and the 1/60th, and it's probably one of the best designs in terms of... I don't know. I really like the 1/60th VF11. If they ever get their hands on the license, you know, Harmony Gold is... They're real bastards about their license, so it's almost like they don't want to make money off of it. X-Transbot Allegios? Is that the one that... Is that who did the other Cyclonus? Drumroll. Allegios. Yeah, there he is. Or Legios. Yeah, I'd actually lean more towards that than the Fans Toys one, just because Fans Toys irritates me. How do these compare? I never put them up. Yeah, he's bigger. MP44 is bigger than that guy. He's puny. It's not a tumor. Anyway, hopefully if any of my fans that were upset about my studio series comment will at least appreciate what I mean by simple. Maybe boring's the wrong word, but it's not elucidating. Yeah, they do a lot of what's Bandai been doing, like not zeros, but they've been doing a lot of the same jet with different ornamentations. It's hard to keep up, so I've never gotten one because I don't know which one's the right one to get. I'm not sure how that whole Robotech thing works, but you never see U.S. market Robotech stuff. Recently, I saw that what's the name of that company? Ryobot did they did the Cyclone from Mospida, and it looked gorgeous. It was really cool, but I didn't get it because I'm holding out for the Rook Bartley, or whatever her name was in Japanese. But I want the Rook Bartley Cyclone, and one of these days they're going to make it, and then I'm going to buy it. A VF-31 Siegfried. One of the more interesting thing I have is the one that's like the monster. Yeah, yeah, they do a lot of those, Bandai. But I had this guy. I have this guy, which is cool because in the show, I mean, this thing didn't actually transform. It didn't even have like a Batroid mode, but they made this crazy thing. I think that thing's cool. The Studio Series prototype Devastator isn't looking great. Yeah, I'm like the hip thing is just all blue. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's fine. You know, it's what it is. It's more accurate than that. Do you remember what size class did they call that? The insane class Devastator that they came back in the day, and like they didn't even have robot modes. Like just the vehicles turned into body parts. And I was always a little bit tempted to get that, but the lack of robot modes really bummed me out. Everything about those movies is just nuts anyway, because they kept using like throughout the movie they had robot modes of those vehicles, and then they would kill them. And then those same vehicles showed up to combine to form Devastator, and it's like they didn't even care that the Devastator is like a team of people. They were like, well, we need a robot to show up and attack Sam and then get killed in this scene. And they're like, well, we got one of these Constructicons. Let's just throw one of those out there and have them die, and then have them show up later and be an arm. It doesn't make any sense. Predacon points out the prototype is mistransformed. I have no doubt that it's mistransformed, because nobody that shoots those pictures actually gives two craps about the design. Wallace says the monster, it had a Batroid mode in the games, I think, and Bandai made its own version of that too, as a cross between a DX Chogokin and Robot Spirits lines. Yeah, I'm not into that that subculture of toys to have a real clear idea what you're saying there. I know Chogokin is like what, metal, like high die-cast Bandai figures. Maybe it's just Bandai. Maybe Chogokin is a general term. I don't know. I like some of the Bandai stuff, but I just never pulled the trigger on any of it because I don't know which one's like the sweet one to get, you know? One of my first forays into explaining how to transform something was that monster. I did like a photo guide for the monster. And then when I got a video camera, I get like this old, Sony camcorder. I was like, well, I'll do a video. So I did some videos of the Yamatos, but I guess I always felt a little bit awkward talking and using my hands in it and stuff. So stop motion's better for me. Of course, here I am on a live stream blabbing away. So do I have any G1 styled Constructicons? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I recently picked up the G1 re-release, the Walmart exclusive re-release of the Constructicons, and you know, that thing is this tall. Like it's tiny. G1 styled Constructicons. I mean, I have the Make Toys Green Giant Constructicon set. Of course, I have the I don't know what it was. It was Power of the Primes. You know, Devastator. That's G1 styled. I've got the Jin Bao oversized. In fact, one of the things I'm waiting for shipping was the leg extensions for the Jin Bao oversized gravity builder, whatever. Yeah, okay. Chogokin's like masterpiece. Yeah, yeah. But isn't Chogokin trying to... Isn't it like a word relating to the metal content or something? I don't know. Maybe it's just a made-up word. Can we see the re-release? It's at least on a shelf. Why did Toy World throw out like 9 figures? I'm not sure what you mean by Shark. You expand on that while I leave my office for a second. Everyone stand by. I'm going to go get the tiny Devastator. I'm almost there. Only moments away. Alright, I'm running out of space on my platform, so give me a minute. Move this crap out of the way here. Move this guy out of the way. Alright. We'll start with Devastator. And I've got a little surprise if you'll hang on while this Toys reviews. But here's OG Devastator. The green doesn't really pop very well in this light. And see, it already fell apart, so that's fun. Let's see if this will... See if my mystery figure will stand for a minute while I fix this. Alright. G1 Devastator. Give you a height comparison. I'll just throw Prime back up here. He's taller than I remembered, but surprisingly tiny. Now, if you want a really cool Devastator, and you're in the market for a really cool Devastator, I would recommend the Iron Factory Devastator. I have a KO of it here, and frankly, you can get the KO cheaper. But that's a great little set, and all the figures turn into nice little robots, unlike that one where all the figures turn into kind of derp. I'd say G1, but there are things I like about Bayverse, especially in like the MPM line. I like the complicated MPM figures. Now Wallace, this is for you since I was downstairs anyway. I brought you, I think you were talking about this thing being your holy grail. But that is a Yamato 160 VF17 Nightmare. Doesn't really pop black on black. My camera will pick it up better. Yeah, DX9 Hulky. That's what I meant. It's not Iron Factory. I'm sorry. Because Iron Factory made the Bruticus that I also got a KO of. Because I'm a bad person. And, yeah, it's DX9 made the Hulky. Great little figure. And I give DX9... Yeah, do you like that? Is that the one? I'm pretty sure that's the Nightmare. Very cool figure. But I'll have to do a stop motion of that someday. Yeah, and it's... What's great about these Macross designs, the Yamato designs, is when you turn it into a jet, it just looks like a jet. You know what I mean? Like, the opposite of that would be... Yeah, I know the other variant. I thought about that with the two heads, and I decided to get this one because I could get it sooner than the other one back when I was getting it. I'll be right back. I got one more example of something. I'm back. I thought it'd be fun to do a little fun compare and contrast. Remember, I just mentioned that this guy... Why is this out of focus? Stop. Come on. There you go. This guy looks like a jet when you turn him into a jet. Just looks like a jet from all sides. You can turn it upside down. Looks like a jet. This is very emblematic of the Hasbro approach to making a jet robot. I don't know how many of you have this, but this is like the Generations Silverbolt. And I'm going to make the big sacrifice and transform this, even though it's incredibly complicated. If I can remember how this amazing... I guess his battery's dead. He used to make a transforming sound when you... Alright. And this goes around like that, and this flips around like this. Incredibly complicated, like I said. This goes like this. And then... This is your typical Hasbro jet. It looks like a jet from the top. And from the side, not so much. And from the bottom, it looks like someone stuck a robot on the bottom of a jet. This is maybe the worst example of that tendency. But I'm telling you, these Yamatos, they just look like this when you're done. They just look like jets. And they look like jets from the bottom, and they look like jets from all the angles you can think of. And that's what's wonderful about them. Well, good night, Cat Wallace. We'll be wrapping up here in a minute anyway. May as well transform this guy back so I can put him back on the shelf. But generally, that's one thing I like about that Hunt for the Decepticon Starscream is that they actually made half an effort to make it look like a jet. But it still looks like a god-awful mess from the bottom. There's a lot of robot parts all over the place. But part of that is the constraints they have to deal with. Put the gun back in his hand. And back in the gun. All right. Yeah, I'm going to keep your comment hidden, Lead Blast. It was a little too colorful. A little too colorful for the kids. Got to be kid friendly. But your secondary comment, pathetically simplistic, is referring to the Silver Bolt. Just terrible. Pretty bad Silver Bolt. No, I'm not going to show you the jet mode on this one because it would take me like 20 minutes. And I'd have to practice it a lot to get back in the groove of how it's done properly. So I don't want to flail through it for 20 minutes. But I'll do a stop motion of it, and maybe we'll do a discussion once it's fresher in my mind how it goes together. It's a cool figure, though. I can show you a picture of the jet mode if you're curious. I may as well pull it up for you that way. Yamato Nightmare. I can show you what it looks like at least. So it looks like that. And you can kind of see the different elements that become the different elements. Like the nose cone of the jet goes into his crotch area there. The lights just don't catch it. But yeah, the Yamatos are great. There's always the weird Gerwalk halfway transformed mode. Like this. They all do that. I don't have the fast packs for this guy, but... Or do I? Do I? I don't. Don't I? Maybe I do. I don't remember. For those of you not into the Macross stuff, fast packs are what they call like the clothes that you put on. I don't have those fast packs. I do not. And this is back when Yamato was getting into using magnets to attach them, which was real sweet. But I don't have those. No, that's fine, Lead Blast. The YouTube notices the comment and then they're like, do you want to show this or continue to hide it? And I'm like, well... It wasn't that far off. It's not... You didn't use any real serious cursing or anything, but you were just expressing how terrible that is. It's pretty terrible. It's pretty low effort. They're like, let's just pack up the robot into like a box and stick it under a plane. That way in plane mode it can be a robot under a plane, and in robot mode it can be a plane stuck to the back of a robot. Just terrible. One of the worst. But it used to make a really cool transforming sound when you yanked it open. Oh yeah, the Yamatos look like models. They're MP quality. They're Takara quality. They're MP scale. MP quality. Die cast where you need it. Sharp edges, like it's a scale model. It's very nice. I'm not quite sure why you need a jet to transform into a robot. You'd think the jet would just about do it, but whatever. You got to fight the Zentradi or whatever. Oh, is the Yamato GNU figures, are they the ones that are just action figures? They don't transform? Anyway, folks, you maybe get a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes putting all my stuff back. But that's fine. It only speaks to how very much I care for all of you as people. bag of Leonidas parts. Got my Leonidas, my Hulky, my DX9 Hulky. Yeah, I mean the robot, like from the front, when you're not distracted by a jet being folded up on his back. But in what way is that a transformer? You know, it's a jet folded in half, and then in jet mode, it's like a robot stuffed up under the jet. I agree with your assessment. It's not a great figure, but it's it's a decent scale. The gold on its legs is kind of a sparkly gold paint, which is nice. Who doesn't like sparkly gold paint? Well, I'm glad. I'm glad I was able to have a fun and insightful stream. I'm going to run out of things to talk about, and then my streams will be really boring. All right. Final questions. We're going to be wrapping up in 2 minutes. So you got 2 minutes to throw in your final comments or questions, and then we will be ending the stream. It's been nice talking with all of you and sharing all these random things with you. 2-minute warning. You know what one of my favorite jet transformers is? While I'm waiting for questions? Now I'm getting on a sidetrack. What was his name? Oof. I don't know if I can find him. One of the best Hasbro jets. It was a swept forward wing jet. So it was like the old G.I. Joe swept forward wing jet. How am I going to find this thing? I don't want boards. I want toys. Movie lines? What line was it in? Was it in Hunt for the Decepticons? Maybe. Where's this jet? I love this jet. Hunt for the Decepticons. I might be wrong about Hunt for the Decepticons. I'm not seeing them. Maybe there was a recolor. Maybe the name was Depth Charge. There he is, Terradive. This is a fantastic toy. I should do a stop motion to this guy. He's just so cool and clever and interesting. How the jet folds up on his chest like that. I mean, they kind of dispose of the wings on his legs in a weird way, but this is a great figure. This is what he looked like when he was hanging on the shelf. There you go. He came with that trident. The trident could integrate into jet mode. Jet mode wasn't too bad. Although from the side, still seeing some robot. So it's a Hasbro jet. But I love that. I love that mold. That's a really good one. All right. I'm not going to go. Predacon asked my favorite and least favorite Transformer reviewers. I'm not going to get into a pissing contest. I think all the reviewers have their pros and cons. Most of the cons revolve around, all right, now it's really important that when you move this part, you move it just like this. Just like that. All right? Now, I did that off the screen so you cannot see what the hell I'm talking about. But I'm just going to let it wander out of frame. And I'm just going to, you just got to move it. You got to tweak this part just like that or it'll get bound up later. It's just, it's like a lot of reviewers are afraid to just do multiple takes. You ever see those, you see all these YouTube videos where people sit in front of a camera and then there's like a little jump cut because they edited out something that didn't work and they just edited together the best parts of what they had to say. And for some reason, reviewers are like, oh, it wandered out of frame. That's over now. The other thing I don't like about reviewers in general is when they don't seem to know how to transform the figure. That's really vexing. Like, did you spend any time with it? Do you like Transformers? Are you familiar with Transformers? What are you doing reviewing them? But I'm not gonna take a piss on other reviewers in particular. I'll say people I like. I enjoy Bobby Skullface's work. That's he does a lot of fun content, and he's not just a reviewer. I mean, he does those sit downs where he talks about stuff, and I really appreciate his work. So I'll call out someone I like. I like Bobby's work. Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty terrible. Pretty terrible robot. All right, guys. I appreciate everyone stopping by for the stream. And you guys have a good day. I guess this weekend, if nothing shows up, I guess I will do the Studio Series Deluxes. It'll be kind of a pain in the ass because there's not a good way to get the legs out first and then just have it stand while I do the rest of it. So they're a little weird like that. But maybe that's what I'll do. All right. Fair enough. Usually I'm just Googling for a review and then I watch whatever review it is and it's enough. Maybe I'll try to pay attention to which reviewers do I just immediately turn off and switch to a different reviewer. I know there's one or two that I'm like, oh, I don't want to listen to this. But I couldn't tell you their names. I don't know who they are. All right, folks. I wish I had a clever sign-off, but I'm signing off. Have a nice day. Have a nice rest of the week. See you on Sunday with a new stop motion of something or other. Good night.